What's going on, guys? In this video, we're gonna look at 3 simple tricks to shape and enhance your 808 kicks. If you're looking to add presence, aggressive distortion, or create more space in your mixes, you don't wanna miss these 3 tips. I'm also leaving a link for you below to download these presets individually and the plugin Chain for studio rep. So let's not waste any more time. The first trick is about adding top-end attack to 808s. I've got my 808 kicks going here. Nice and round and fat. But I want to add some more punch and attack to it. But instead of adding another kick just for that attack, I'm going to go with the smack attack transient shaper, and we're going to go from this to this. Now let me take it back to full reset and show you what I did. First, let's bring up the attack sensitivity. We're just increasing the range of processing on the transients. All right, now we're going to keep it on the nail attack shape. And we're going to bring up the duration. This is going to give that first strike of the sound a sharper, quicker attack with a slow fall. All right? Now take a listen as I bring up the attack control. I'm increasing that punch, and that 808 is going to cut through much better. All right? Now we're going to go over and increase the sustain and let that boom ring out. I'm going to bring the sustain sensitivity almost all the way up. We're going to warm up the tail of that transient with a soft linear shape. And to exaggerate the tail, we're going to bring the duration up. I'm at about 375. All right, now let's bring up the sustain control. We're getting much more boom on the tail of that 808. Let's bring it back down to about 60. And it looks like we're not clipping, so I'm gonna leave the guard controls alone. But one thing to remember, when you're boosting attack and sustain levels, you're also increasing the output volume. So we're gonna dial back the output just a little. Then we're gonna blend in some of that dry mix. Now let's hear this back in the mix. Here's the before. And after. I was able to add definition, exaggerate the tail, and give the 808 more bite and presence in the mix. Now, every 808 has a character on its own. The parameters all depend on what kick you're using. Just a few quick adjustments using smack attack, and you're good to go. All right, let's move on to the next tip. I'm gonna show you how to create aggressive and heavy distorted 808s. You know that grimy, overdriven 808 sound? Now, instead of searching for the right kick, I went with the Manny Marroquin distortion, an amazing plugin for customizing your own distortion and getting that feel. Let's take it back to full reset. All right, now we've got a few controls here, and it's simple to use. I'm gonna first dial up the distortion level. Let's start by getting it about halfway. And now we can add distortion with the drive control. Dial up just a little, and you get that nice subtle fuzz. You can take it to about 12 o'clock, and you get a nice overdrive. Or you can dial it up all the way and get that obnoxious distortion. And we can control the aggression by adjusting the distortion level up or down. It just depends on how hard you want to take it. Now you can adjust how fast the distortion kicks in with the attack control. You hear the difference in that first strike? Let's keep it quick so the distortion kicks in right away. And you can control how fast the distortion tails off with the release control. I wanted to blanket the sustain on that 808, so I'm gonna leave the release almost all the way up, but feel free to adjust it to where it feels good for you. You also get additional tone shaping features with the bass, mid, and treble controls. Bass gives you a nice shelf around 100 hertz. Treble gives you a nice bell curve around 9K. And on the mid, you can adjust the frequency cutoff between 150 and 5K. Let's use the low pass filter to trim off some highs. You definitely want to experiment with these to sculpt just the right amount of distortion. All right, I made a few adjustments. Let's hear that back in the mix. Here's the before. And after. Just a few controls, and we made those 808s much more aggressive, and we gave it that energy we're looking for. Now, one last trick I want to show you is how to make space for those 808s in the mix, especially in the low end against the bass. we're going to marry the 808 kick and the bass together by sidechaining with the F6 floating band dynamic EQ. But instead of sidechaining the whole sound, we can sidechain specific frequencies, giving you much more flexibility in the low end of your mix. First thing to do, we're going to insert the F6 on the bass channel. Let's turn on the SC. All right, now we're going to open up a new track. We're going to call it Sidechain. Now on this channel, you want to change audio from to the 808 and change audio to the bass channel. Now make sure in this lower box, the F6 sidechain is selected, and make sure to change the monitor from auto to in. All right, that's set up. Now let's take a look at where the 808 is hitting on the spectrum. And we can see in the analyzer, the 808 is hitting hardest at about 70 hertz. We're getting that low shelf up to about 120 hertz. And there's also some action in the 150 hertz area. Now keep this in mind. Now let's go down and check out what our bass is doing on the spectrum. We can see on the analyzer that 70 hertz, 120 hertz, and then 150 hertz area is also pretty dominant. So if you want those 808 kicks to be more present in the mix, then you want to tame these frequencies on the bass. Simple to do using the F6 dynamic EQ. I took it back to full reset to show you how I did it. Let's take the first band to 120 hertz and select the low shelf. I'm going to slow down the release to about 320. All right, I'm going to give it a fast attack. Now I'm going to bring down the threshold halfway to begin the processing at about -30. And I'm going to bring the range all the way down to about -18, giving it that ducking effect. I want those 808s to completely take over those frequencies. The best thing about F6, those frequencies on the bass are going to get reduced only when those 808s kick in. So the last thing to do on the band is right here under the sidechain source, change it to external. Now let's take the second band to 155 hertz. I'm going to select the bell shape. The kick and bass are clashing just a little in this area. Again, I'm going to bring the release to about 320. Give it a fast attack. Let's take the threshold down so we can hit that signal for processing. All right, let's take the range down a bit. And I'm going to give it a thinner Q. All right, that's set up. Don't forget to change the sidechain source to external. And let me A/B the 808 kick in the bass for you so you can hear the difference. Here's the before. And after. We created so much more space for the 808 kick and bass to live together in the mix, and that 808 is cutting through without muddying up the low end. And there you go, 3 quick and simple ways to get harder hitting 808 kicks in your mixes. Now don't forget to check the link in the description below. You'll find free presets and the plugin chain for Studio Rack. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to receive notifications on the latest tips, tricks, and more from Waves Audio. And until next time, thank you for watching.